All right, we're back here for another podcast with the Dribblers. We've got Luke Platt in Melbourne.
Zachy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Myself still in Tasmania at the moment while COVID's going on, and we've got a guest dribbler joining us today in Matt Rice, who's up on the Sunshine Coast.
Hey Zach and Luke, how you going?
Yeah, really good.
Good, mate.
Thanks.
Sorry.
The main focus for today's podcast is we're going to discuss our progression through the junior ranks and little bits of, I guess, tips and tricks that we picked up that any of the juniors listening might want to hear. So I think we'll kick it off with, how'd you get into cycling, Matt? You were like us in under 13s. What was your first bike and your first race?
Yep. So I got into cycling just because my brother was cycling at the time and I was just copying him. And my first bike was my mother's Giant. I don't know what model it was. It wasn't very flash, but I could fit on my mum's bike. So I would race on her bike. I can't really remember my first race. They all kind of blur into one sort of blob. I was too young to remember.
Yeah. What about you, Plappy? How did you get into the sport? We were all the same age, I think, when we started.
Yeah, we all started as under 13s. I was playing cricket and footy all that time, and that was my number one sport, but headed down to the famous Brunswick Junior Clinic, and that's where I started. So I had my little steel Hilbic frame that goes strong, and then had a steel Giant bike as well, an old Giant bike that I used to ride on the road.
Your bike sound a lot fancier than what I started on. My first bike I got for my birthday when I don't know what age it was, probably around when I was 12. It was a single speed bike with a clutch. So I only had one gear when I first started racing. It was sort of to teach me just how to pedal a bike. That was Dad's and my bonpa, which is the Belgian word for grandfather. So they thought they would teach me how to pedal when I was young. So started on one gear, which wasn't fun to start off with everyone else on gears.
Thought you had to do SEs right off the bat.
Nah, the gear wasn't that big.
Yeah.
It was sort of in between the gear restrictions. So I was either spinning or pushing it up the hills a little bit, but yeah, didn't have to worry about changing a gear, which was cool. But
yeah, those gears are tiny. You spin on them heaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I remember those under 13s and 15 days spinning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big factor to focus on when you're a junior too. That and also working on your skills when you first start the sport. I think I wasn't allowed to start racing for at least 9 months after I got my first bike. I think I spent at least 6 months just at an industrial park learning how to corner a bike. I don't know if that was just because they didn't want me to crash in races, but probably.
Yeah, yes, your skills are pretty important, especially through your under 13s and the rest of your life. But I think, yeah, starting at young is definitely good.
Yeah.
Picking up bottles off the ground, U-turns.
Track standing's a fun one to learn.
Track standing, yeah. Still use that one at the traffic lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
one of the best skills there.
And up hills.
And it all progresses through the age groups once you start going into under 15s. You have, I guess you start getting a few different elements in there. You start to do a bit of racing with a few more skilled bike riders. You're racing almost, I don't know, is it every weekend as an under 15 down here in Tassie, which is pretty cool. You get to, I guess, the social aspect of it, and also you just get to practice what you're doing all the time.
Yeah, you get exposed to that. Oh, you go, Plappy.
Yeah, we've got the Northern Combines up in Melbourne that we're on every Saturday that I remember driving an hour or so up to the country each week to have a race.
Yeah. Gets pretty exciting when you first start under 15s. You're allowed to start doing NJTS. It's just pretty massive event when you're at that age.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's
being able to,
pretty
Here you
scary.
go, Matt.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
first start your NJTS, just yeah, it's good. Like it's a good way to introduce young cyclists to like race tactics and meet new people in the sport, and make your friends. A lot of my friends in this sport were made at the NJTS.
Yeah, definitely. The tactics was a pretty big one for me in under 15s. I wasn't really the strongest bike rider yet. I remember this one time I was doing the state titles down here in Tassie. I was racing against a good friend, Rona Munro, who was pretty successful as an under 15. And my bomb heart in one of the races said, "Zach, if you get caught on the hit, just swing up to the blue line in the final 200 meters." I said, "Oh, I'm going to lose the race if I do that." But it ended up by doing that, I learned how to lay off the wheel. That was pretty exciting because I came around him in the last, I don't know,
Did you get him?
40 meters. Yeah, I
Got him.
won the state title, which was pretty exciting.
Nothing better than
Good one.
putting Ronan away. One of the
Yeah.
big boys as a junior.
Yeah, I think just learning little tactics like that, it certainly helps when you get a bit older.
Tassie's got a few sprinters. You had that other guy, Ryan or something.
Ryan Lawson.
Ryan Lawson.
Yeah, Tank. He was
we
a pretty
haven't
big guy too.
We haven't got that many numbers down here, but we seem to pull out some all right results for how many people we have. I think Melbourne's massive, always has been, Plappy.
I think another best part of juniors that I remember was I always used to head down to Tassie and do the Christmas carnivals down there.
Yeah,
That's
they're
some
fun.
of the best experiences you can have, and trying to get a bit of prize money as well. It's always fun.
Yeah, it was pretty good when we were doing it. I think it might have died off a little bit with the prize money. I think the new rules have come in, but it used to be the best time of the year. It used to be better than Christmas.
Oh, it was,
used
wasn't
to
it?
look forward to the days after Christmas so that we could try and win a bit of money.
Yeah, I remember always stitching up the handicaps with a few of the boys and always working together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Well, that's another big thing you learn too is how to swap turns and stuff as an under 15. I think it's something you need to practice. Learning which side of the wheel to sit on, especially in Tassie, we've got a lot of handicap races. So it's not really mass start where it's all bunched up. You kind of just go as hard as you can for, 20 kilometers. And when you're under 15s, 20, 30 kilometers. So learning how to tuck in behind someone else who's sitting on the front is pretty important. That's something I'd suggest people listening should focus on.
I definitely remember in NJTS days, I never did the skills as a kid. So when it came to NJTS and particularly the elimination, I used to just get on the front, do a time trial and wait till I blew up. And that was when I got eliminated.
Yeah. Eliminations are pretty scary though.
Yeah. My tactics haven't changed that much, have they, Ricey?
Still doing that. He's still doing that.
Yeah. I think...
Except now you don't blow up. You just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, started to build that engine a bit now, Plappy. I think that probably started in under 17s for you, don't you reckon? Once you stepped out of under 15s and I guess we all started coming into under 17s. The training just got more consistent.
Yeah, you got a bit more of a structure in your program.
Yeah, and I think
that's a bit more full on. It's
probably an important time to do it too. You're starting to get a bit more developed.
That's right. Getting you ready for the next stages.
Yeah.
You used to dominate a bit back then, Ricey?
Right in the juniors.
Yeah,
you used to go all right. You and Zachy.
Yeah, we went all right.
I only stepped up when I was under 17 second year. I wasn't too flash hot before then.
Yeah, Ricey won every race, except if he was on the ground, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went through puberty when I was like 5 years old.
Yeah. Makes a massive difference in under 17s. I think everyone changes at a different age and it sort of shows the most in under 17s.
Yeah.
who's
everyone starts to,
developing quicker, and I think that's probably the biggest factor in that age group, and it's hard to deal with until you finally get to develop yourself. But yeah, it's pretty exciting under 17s because under 19s is just around the corner. So I remember when I was in under 17s in my final year, Dad was basically training me, especially the last half of under 17 second year, was training me as an under 19 just so I was ready to step up and have a bit of a, I guess, bit of a structure in my program like I would when I'm a bit older and started to learn how to be a bike rider.
I think it's quite daunting as an under 17 as well, because the under 17 nationals finish in July, I think it is, or even a bit after, and then your first race as an under 19 is January nationals.
Yeah,
so it's almost your last race as a juniors nationals and your first race as an under 19s nats, and there's not much of a break. So it's quite daunting to have to make that step up so quickly.
Yeah, certainly. I didn't really experience that. I had a few years off with when I was 6, so you guys are probably better off talking about under 19 experiences.
I was still kicking the footy.
It was like
and
a
playing
lifetime
cricket
ago.
back then, but
Yeah. So how do you reckon under 19s? What was the main focus as an under 19? What
just
did you
junior
guys
worlds.
work on?
I just remember always wanting, as a first year, I wanted to go to junior worlds. I knew it was like a long shot, but I wanted to go so bad, but I didn't make it as a first year, and then as a second year, I trained hard for it, and I made the team with Clappy. But that was the pinnacle of under 19s, I reckon.
Yeah.
Trying to get in that team. It's not the be all end all if you don't make it, but it's a pretty cool experience.
Matt Rice, I think this under 19s second year at Junior Worlds is actually where you became a dribbler, isn't it? I think I can recall the story.
Yeah, that's where I got the. I know. I got my dribbler status there from your father.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Forget a suitcase or something, didn't you?
Yeah, well, we got to the track and your dad's like, "Kid up, go for a ride." And my shoes and helmet were in this bag, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was asking everyone, I was freaking out. I remember I was sweating so much. My t-shirt was really wet because I was freaking out. And then I called the airport, and they put me on like 5 different lines. Eventually, I get on to the AFP, which is the Australian Federal Police, for anyone that doesn't know. And they've got my bag in like bag security, bag prison or something. Suspicious items laying around in the airport. And so lucky I got that back because I had my passport, but your dad had to drive me back to the airport and then back to the track, and it was an hour and a half or so each way there and back. So I must have chewed your dad's ear off if I got the dribbler name.
Yeah, I can imagine he wasn't too happy with you there.
I guess good start.
Yeah, good start. Good way to join the dribblers. And you were a dribbler too at around that time, Clappy. But so you actually went to both road and track under 19 Worlds. How did you handle that? It's pretty interesting.
Well, for me, I think the best part about coming into under 19s is being able to have those opportunities to race for Australia for the first time or for the country. And I was a bit like Rasi as an under 19, bottom age. I never got that chance, but as soon as top age came around, that was all I really wanted to focus on. For me, it was more road worlds was the goal, but I was lucky enough to do track and road that year. And I guess for me, I was lucky enough to get results there, but being able to form those friendships with the boys that we were there with, we're still good mates now, and we'll be friends for life, I think. So, we were actually talking about it the other day with them. We reckon it's probably the pinnacle of our careers and the best moments we've ever had.
Mawson Lakes. That's where they put you in the accommodation.
Yeah.
We've had some memories. We have to do a reunion.
Yeah, it's funny
Been a
how
fair bit of time up there.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of time in the Domino's line, getting my stick shakes.
there's a lot of memories made at Mawson Lakes. Even little
Yeah.
training camps we've had the last couple of years. You always remember
good
something from
memories.
there.
You do.
Yeah.
I remember we got $5 takeaway pizzas one time. We were eating them, and then all of a sudden the fire alarm goes off. So we had to walk outside with the fire alarm, and your dad and Shane Kelly, the coaches, caught us having Domino's at about 9 p.m. for dinner.
Classic.
Oh, remember that? Remember that man that chased you around the accommodation, Pappy?
Yeah.
Pappy was knocking running people, and then this man's gone around and chased him around the whole bloody apartment.
Bit of ding dong ditch.
That's funny.
Yeah, friendships in cycling are pretty important. It shines through the most when you finally leave under 19s into under 23s. You start joining, I guess, bigger road teams, or you start traveling for races, and you start relying on those friends and teammates. Certainly happened this year for us, Matt.
Oh yeah.
Tour of Langkawi was an interesting one for us all. The whole ARA team. Yeah, I got food poisoning on stage 3.
3, yeah, 3. I remember. Me and Zach got dropped up this hill, and I'm like, "Why the hell's Zach getting dropped?" And he's like, "Mate, I don't feel good. Can you tow me back to the line?" So
this is 40k to go. Remember,
got Zach on my wheel. Didn't know if we were gonna make time cut, so we went.
I was just yelling at Matt to keep going.
And then I keep looking back, and Zach's like dropped like 20 meters behind. I'm like, "What are you doing? Hurry up!" And he's just looked at me, and then he's just thrown up everywhere.
Whilst I was riding, I just kept riding and vomiting.
Yeah,
it was disgusting.
Riding and vomiting. It was so funny. And he did it for 30k non-stop. Got past the finish line, throwing up.
Yeah,
and we're
I
driving
remember
home,
that.
and Zach. We had to stop in the middle of traffic for Zach to get out and go throw up.
I definitely wouldn't have got through that.
Dog.
Yeah, I think that shows the importance of teamwork too. I think without you there, Matt, or without the guys up in the front group, I definitely would have made it through it, because I remember thinking that day, I could just unclip so easy here and just get in the sag wagon. But I
was thinking the same thing.
In the back of my mind was like, oh, I'm going to come good in hopefully 3 days after the big mountain day. That was probably another bad day too, but thinking, if I can come good, I'm going to be able to do one more lead out, which we ended up getting a win. And I think that shows how important teamwork is and the power of it too.
Yeah.
It was pretty good to see our teammate Taj Jones get the win over there. So
yeah, he was running awesome over there.
Yeah. And Plappy, I think you've experienced it too. At Nationals this year was probably a good example.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I really enjoy racing as a team, and I actually find you almost get as much enjoyment watching your teammates or good mates win as you do winning yourself, which was pretty similar to what happened this year at Road Nats with Jared winning.
Yeah.
I think just being able to see how hard people train and how much it means for them to win and how much they dedicate to that race, to see them pull it off is pretty awesome, and they deserve it.
Yeah, definitely. And it swings in roundabouts too. That's a big lesson I've learnt too.
Yeah.
You have someone leading out for a sprint one day, and then next thing you know, they're the ones sitting in front of you in a crosswind section about to take you up to a climb or something. So
yeah, sure. It's all. Yeah, Jared, that was impressive. Hey, he had another gear than everyone else at Nationals.
Yeah, he did for sure. But definitely got to see how hard he trained for it firsthand. So he definitely deserved that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I was thinking while you guys were talking about that, the Lankawi in Asia, good way to get lean. That just vomit everywhere and get food poisoning, shed some kilos off.
Yeah, I don't think if any nutritionists are listening, they're going to be too happy with what happened. I remember I only went, like, there were like 3 or 4 stages where I could only eat like 2 or 3 bars. I couldn't have any gels because I vomit as soon as I have a gel. So I stripped off a fair bit of weight. It wasn't fun.
Yeah, if people
And it
don't
was
know,
so
Langkawi is
hot.
also stinking hot. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of bottles we went back to the car to get was ridiculous. I tell you what, that's a skill to have to learn too.
Yeah, that is a skill. Yeah.
I think that was your first time having to do it, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah. I was freaking out.
Yeah, I remember the first time you asked, "Oh, do I go back and get a bottle now?" How nervous you seemed. I still get nervous every time I have to pull over the side of the road in a long stage to go to the toilet. I'm like, oh, I hope they don't attack now.
I've never done that. I freak. I'm like, I'm not going to get back on if I stop here.
The best part about the races at that level being so big is there's so many cars in the convoy. You literally, if you pull over and you're at the front of the bunch, by the time you finish going to the toilet, you're literally still halfway in the convoy, which is cool.
As long as you don't get stage fright.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But being a part of it, yeah, stepping up to it, the age group under 23, and I guess being able to get through those sort of races is so cool. The places it can take you. We've travelled some pretty cool places now as a team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing about this sport, and that every sport, if you continue on with it, it takes you to some pretty cool places. You get to travel the world, hang out with mates. It doesn't get much better.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, for sure. We went to Switzerland together, Ricey, and that was some of the best memories ever. And I got to go to Belgium last year in Europe, and you boys got to do a fair bit of Asia.
And we did a pretty big block in America last year. Matt
actually ended up
got a nice
right
win
over there
there
in Dairylands.
Yep, Dairylands. And then we went to Canada.
That didn't go so well.
Super Week. We got our ass handed to us.
Kiwi national team, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were so confident. Remember stage 1? We were like,
this will be just like a Dairylands.
But no one finished. I think only like 3 of us finished the first stage. It was brutal.
And then a couple of stages later, we had the 160k road race.
Oh yeah, that was the first race I've done over 100k, I reckon, and I was freaking out before the start.
That was a grovel. It rained all day.
Oh yeah, that was so bad. Hey, it rained all day and it was cold.
Yeah.
I actually remember I was in Belgium at the time, Zach, and I remember you called me at like 6 p.m. that night, and you're like, "Oh, I'm ready to go home."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were all so head cracked after that day. It was so wet all day. But I think
everyone sort of hated each other at the end. And then now it's made us tighter.
Definitely.
Like, look back on it and you're like, good times.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was funny. Definitely. All right. Well, I think we might wrap it up there. It was another good podcast. Thanks for joining us, Matt. It was
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. No. Cheers, Matty.
I did some dribbling, so
yeah,
that's what it's about, right?
We're all good at that, all 3 of us.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Nice.
Bye.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers.